Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, UWP candidate contesting the Soufrière constituency, Dr. Sam Christian, says a video making the rounds on social media is meant to destabilize his campaign. Property owners in the city request a waiver of taxes, and 7 heritage festivals and a history week to form part of Reunion 2018 activities. Details coming up.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
First up in the news, UWP candidate who will be contesting the Soufrière constituency, Dr. Sam Christian, says a video of a news story about him in relation to a 2012 incident is a political ploy to destabilize his campaign. Iduna John Baptist reports.
Dr. Christian was charged with 30 drug counts while he worked in Tiffin, Ohio, accused of improperly prescribing prescription drugs. The indictment alleged he operated a drug addiction program that prescribed methadone to patients without being licensed. Those charges were dropped in February 2013 before the matter could go to trial, according to the Seneca County prosecutor at the time. Dr. Christian is once more seeking to put the matter to rest after this video resurfaced this past weekend.
It was put up and portrayed like this is something current. So I have some of my patients being frightened and calling me at all kinds of hours and say, "Doctor, what's wrong? I heard you were arrested," and all that kind of thing. Well, when I first came back in 2013, it is something that we completely cleared the air on. There was a major article on Dominica News Online. I was on several radio stations describing that. And so I'm very happy to let people know again that I have never used any kind of illegal drugs like cocaine or heroin. I have never trafficked in any drugs. And so it was all about taking care of addicts and having a permit from the federal government, but the state government was dragging its feet. They were trying to set me up and trap me, actually. Which they made a very good effort of, but it's important to know that everything came up to zero.
But the Seneca County Drug Task Force Enforcement Unit Coordinator indicated that the matter was not concluded. The prosecutor's office was to find another physician as an expert witness to review medication records in the matter, since the expert witness who had been retained for the case was diagnosed with liver cancer. The prosecutor expected it would take months to go through medical records. Dr. Christian returned to Dominica to permanently practice medicine here few months after the matter was dismissed.
That was a sort of miraculous intervention, because in the entire United States, they have been unable to find anyone to replace him or to continue the charges. So the charges were all dropped. I was never convicted. I am innocent to this day. And I'm very, very proud of the work they have done in saving lives. You have to understand federal government and state government. It's kind of like the Dominica central government and village councils. If the Dominica central government says, you have permission to do something, can a village council then say, "Oh no, you're not allowed to do that"? So I had a permit from the federal government.
The medical doctor turned politician says he will not back down from his political aspirations despite his claims of several attacks on him.
Why is it brought up again at this point in time? It's brought up because people are trying to disenfranchise me as a candidate for the Soufriere constituency. A whole attack has been unleashed. My tires have been slashed on multiple occasions, my windscreen broken. And family and friends are saying to me, Sam, you know, leave these people alone in their misery, you know, in their misère. And I said, you know, don't worry about it. I can take care of myself. I'm trained as an officer in the U.S. Army, and I can take care of myself. Trust me.
In other news now, Dominicans at home and abroad have been challenged to work together to make Reunion 2018 a success. Here's Andrea Louis with more.
The call comes from Minister for Justice Reuben Blackmore. He represented Prime Minister Skerrit at the launching of the calendar of events for Independence 2018 on the weekend.
It must be our collective responsibility to make this year's celebration a huge success. I must say that the celebration of independence of any country is a major event. It's a time when all of us, and people, notwithstanding the political persuasion, their religion or creed, demonstrate a sense of attachment to our flag. And of course, it's a time when we highlight and showcase all the elements of our heritage.
Blackmore urged the Dominicans to keep culture alive by consistently celebrating their local traditions throughout the year.
And I want to sound the call to all of us that the appreciation for those wonderful gifts, namely our dress, our food, our music, and showing respect and appreciation for historical landmarks and personalities, must not be a seasonal thing, appreciated and celebrated just once a year. But it has to be practiced in our everyday life. And that's the only way we can keep our culture alive, is actually celebrating various aspects of our heritage on a daily basis.
Chairman of the Reunion Committee, Hubert Charles, says a calendar of events was tailored to appeal to Dominicans living overseas to fully participate in reunion activities.
We have for you a round of festivals, headlined, of course, by the World Creole Music Festival and Flo's Creole in the Park. Of course, we hope that diaspora associations will be prominent in this year's National Dress Parade to be held on October 26th. Additionally, we urge diaspora associations to try as much as possible to be part of the official program. One activity that we feel should be of particular interest to the diaspora is the National Art and Craft Exhibition, which will be officially opened on October 11th.
The theme for Reunion Independence 2018 is My Love, My Home, My Dominica, Building a Resilient Nation.
Meantime, activities for Reunion 2018 will start on Saturday, September 22 and Sunday, September 23 with Days of Thanksgiving. Here again is Andrea Louis.
The grand opening cultural extravaganza for Independence 2018 will take place on Saturday, 29th September. According to Chief Cultural Officer and Chairman of the Independence Committee, there will be 7 heritage festivals around the island, as well as a History Week, Festival Duive, and a number of other cultural activities.
National Emblems Week, running from October 15th to the 19th, and starting off with Flag Day and a motorcade across Dominica, waving flags. The Madame Wapdouillet Show, Thursday, October 18th at the Old Mill. The National Wapdouillet Pageant, carded for Wednesday, October 24th at the Windsor Park. Market Days with a Difference in Marigat and Portsmouth on October 20th, and at the Roseau Market on Saturday, October 27th.
A new feature on this year's calendar is the Dominica Night, which will follow the National Cultural Gala. Minister for Tourism and Culture, Senator Robert Tong, says government was able to support a calendar of activities despite the ravages of Hurricane Maria.
We did have plans to do a year of activities to mark the reunion observance, but we are all aware of the challenging circumstances which we faced and continue to face post-Hurricane Maria. But in spite of it all, the government has decided to support a program of activities this year which will help to unite Dominicans both here and overseas, and also encourage visitors to come to the Nature Island to be part of the observance of this very significant milestone in the lives of Dominica and Dominicans.
Senator Tang called on Dominicans to continue to help in the rebuilding process as the country still has a long way to go.
Of course, we realize that there's still a lot to do, but rebuilding is a process that takes time. So the government and the private sector continue to do what we can with the resources which are available to us and with the assistance which we have already received and which we are still receiving. So the rebuilding of Dominica means that it is going to take all of us, those of us who are here and those of us who are overseas, to help with the redevelopment of Dominica in some way, shape or form.
In more news now, property owners have asked the City Council for a waiver of payment of property taxes due to the impact of Hurricane Maria. The Roseau City Council's main revenue stream continues to be seriously affected. Property owners in Roseau and environs are expected to pay their land and house rates twice a year in April and October. However, Clerk of the Council, Thomas Baptiste, says they continue to exercise patience by not collecting these unpaid property taxes.
The Roseau City Council is still being very patient because we know the consequences of the storm. We know the effects that it's had on several owners of properties in the city. We have quite a number of applications here now of persons requesting waiver of rates. So we know what that means. So we do not want to take any sort of harsh measures on anyone.
That would include businesses?
That would include businesses, of course. You know, vending, collection. As I said, they have several heads, you know, where, of course, the revenue collection have been in a decline, obviously. You know, so we, as I said, you know, quite patient. So we're just looking at the best possible strategy, you know, as to what date we will set so that we could at least ask persons to come in to pay their rates.
Prior to Hurricane Maria, the City Council was putting systems in place to re-energize collection of property taxes.
The council is always thinking of, you know, ways to increase the revenue, but nothing can replace, you know, the collection of rates. We have concluded a revaluation of properties in the city of Roseau just a couple of months before the storm. We would have expected that that exercise would have, you know, seen an increase in revenue collection on the house and land rates. But unfortunately, this storm came, so therefore, you know, we are still struggling in that area. We're just weighing our options as we speak and to see whether we can look at other form of revenue generation. In fact, we want to encourage those persons whose property were not affected to come in to pay the rates and meet that obligation.
Rates are based on the size of the property. Property taxes do not apply to schools, churches and government buildings. In police news now, one man dead and other nursing injuries following an accident on the weekend. As Police PRO Sergeant Simon Edwards reports, the accident took place in Kulibistri on Saturday afternoon and involved a motorcycle and a pedestrian.
Rani Joseph, male 57 years of Placerville, Kulibistri, succumbed as a result of his injuries when a Yamaha motorcycle ridden by Renault Blanc, male 27 years old of Placerville, Kulibistri, came into contact with him. Joseph sustained a massive puncture wound to the right side of his face. He was pronounced dead at the scene by a medical practitioner. The deceased was transported to the Gentle Rest Funeral Home. The rider, Renault Blanc, sustained injuries to his chest and head.
You are watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, the DHTA president speaks on the importance of an international airport to Dominica's tourism.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thank you for staying with us. 4 secondary school students are heading back into the classroom in September with a better chance of handling the challenges of the new school year. These are not your average students. They've been through and in some cases are going through a lot. They've all been affected by the impact of cancer on their families. What's more moving is the source of the scholarships these 4 students received last week. The money was raised by members of the youth arm of the Dominica Cancer Society. Some of these young individuals themselves have either been directly or indirectly affected by cancer. Apart from the scholarships, the Cancer Society Youth Arm also provides counseling for children who are directly affected by the disease. Members of the Cancer Society Youth Arm work diligently during the summer holidays to donate the ingredients needed to bake the cakes used as part of their fundraising efforts in order to provide the scholarships so these 4 students and others can obtain school supplies.
We love to help others, even though it may be 4 people. A difference can be made any way it can, and that is why we do what we do, to make a positive difference and to make the world a better place, and one day cancer-free.
2 of this year's scholarship recipients have lost a family member to cancer, while the other 2 have parents who are currently in treatment.
Cancer not only affects the diagnosed patient, but the child is also affected. And as a result, when many of us in the Dominica Cancer Society realized the impact that the diagnosis had on our own children, we began what we call the Dominica Cancer Society Youth Arm.
And cancer ranks among the top 10 leading causes of death in Dominica. While breast cancer affects females, men suffer from prostate cancer. In 2011, 133 died from cancer. In 2012, 110. In 2013, 128. In 2014, 106. In 2015, 132. And 88 in 2016. In the last 7 years, 697 Dominicans died from cancer. Health officials say in the context of Dominica's small population, these numbers are significant. Between 2010 and 2017, there were over 80 cervical cancer cases and over 100 prostate cancer cases. Cancer care is expensive, and the local cancer society works hard to raise money to help meet the cost of chemotherapy and radiotherapy. The annual Walk for Cancer Care was initiated in 2012 to promote cancer awareness under the logo Early Intervention Saves Lives. This year's event is scheduled for October 6. It was officially launched last week.
We know that the walk has become very, very popular, and people are looking forward to the exercise walk. We want to appeal to people to be a little bit even more excited about the fundraising, which is the central purpose of the walk. We are raising funds to assist us in helping to pay cancer patients' chemotherapy bill. Just this week, a young man came and shared with me his invoice and his story. And he's showing me an invoice for $17,000 for his first 4 cycles of chemotherapy.
Each year, the Cancer Society sends between 8 and 12 cancer patients to Guyana for radiation therapy. So far this year, 6 patients have benefited from cancer treatment overseas, with 2 more to be added to the list, making 8. These individuals are assisted with treatment cost, accommodation and travel expenses. Government covers the treatment cost of between $3,000 and $8,000. Between 30 and 40 cancer patients receive assistance every year for chemotherapy, which is available locally.
So imagine one person needing $17,000, and we have to meet 30 people, 40 people, and when they come, you cannot give them $5. So I am saying that to urge you, to encourage you, when you reach into your wallets, when we approach you, you can tell us come back next week or come back at month end, but please give something. And if there is one time I would like you to be very selfish, it is this time. Be very selfish when you come to consider giving us. I need you to tell yourselves, this is for me. And that is self, right? Tell yourself, this could be for me. I could be the next cancer patient applying for a grant.
Newly appointed president of the Dominica Hotel and Tourism Association, Marvin Alexander James, has observed that Dominica really needs an international airport almost immediately. Referring to air access as a major problem for the country, Alexander James says the tourism industry will be all the better for having access to an international airport.
Recently, government did announce that there's plans for an international airport. We are hoping that this comes on stream very quickly. We are hoping that they can start with the building of the international airport. There are many who say, okay, well, we probably do not need one. We can probably look at same-day access, look at the hubs and so on. I think yes, in the short term, but as we move to increase tourism and its contribution to our economy, we really have to invest in an international airport.
With the growing room stock, she is questioning how well additional hotels will perform without suitable air access to the country.
I think this is something that government needs to work on, like starting from today. I mean, for the longest while we have been speaking of an international airport, but we have never really taken the bold step. But I mean, as we bring on more rooms to Dominica, you have the larger hotels coming on stream. I mean, how do you feel those hotels? You know, so you can clearly see there's a need to bring in more access, more flights into the country. In the short term, we still have challenges. I mean, an airport probably will not come on stream not in the next 2 to 5 years in terms of completion. And so we still have our challenge in terms of same-day access to Dominica, the high cost of airfaring to Dominica. And so those are some of the short-term challenges that we would need to address.
In her capacity as the general manager of Fort Young Hotel, she recalls potential clients based in the U.S. regularly calling off trips to Dominica because of the hassle involved in traveling to the island.
Working with guests in terms of reservations and so on, one of the main challenges that they have is same-day access to Dominica, and we have had quite a bit of persons cancelling their stay because they're unable to get to Dominica, and they are unwilling to spend 2 free days traveling to get to a destination, especially persons from the US. They have very short vacation. They have like a 7-day vacation or 10 days, and then if they have to spend 3 days or 4 days out of that vacation, you know, it's not worth it for them, and so you'll find them looking at other destinations to go to instead of coming to Dominica.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. UWP candidate contesting the Soufrière constituency says a video making the rounds on social media is meant to destabilize his campaign. Property owners in the city request a waiver of property taxes, and 7 heritage festivals and the History Week to form part of this year's reunion activities. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.